You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account. From Apple to VIX and everything in between, if it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report. If you're listening to this show, chances are you're pretty serious about options trading. So let me put something on your radar. Public. It's the most cost-effective way to trade options. That's because Public is the only platform that gives you rebates on your options trades. They also have some of the industry's lowest index options fees. Whether you're placing single leg or complex multi-leg trades, every dollar counts. Check out public.com/optionsbrief and discover the most cost-effective way to trade options. Paid for by Public Investing. Full disclosures in podcast description. And now, get ready to scan the tape for the most explosive options activity on the street. It's time for the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is time once again for a little bit of the old Hot Options Report. My name, of course, Mark Longo, coming at you from the Southern Studio. So if I sound a little bit different, because I'm coming to you from the Southern Studio out there today. All right, everybody, let's get down to business for the Hot Options Report for Thursday, August 28th, aka Thor. What the cool kids are calling it. I'm not calling it. That's what the cool kids are calling it out there, listeners. What was lighting it up out there in VIX options today? Was it a banger day? The answer was it was all right. 671,000 contracts. Now, that's still pretty light compared to the ADV of 843, but it's respectable. The hot option out there in VIX land today, 49,000, almost 50,000 of the September 25 calls. We've been talking about this strike for a while. They went up for an average price of about 38 cents. 25 seems like a distant memory, especially with you only going out to September. September 17th is the expiration. Can we get back to 25? Can we kiss it by September 17th? That seems like maybe a bit of a bridge too far. I don't know. I'll leave it up to you folks if you like them, listeners. Some folks like them to the tune of 50,000 going up nearly today, listeners. By the way, VIX cash closing a little bit shy of the 14.5 level after flirting with 14 and a quarter for the better part of the session out there. Out to SPY we go, listeners. Was it a banger day? The answer was, again, it was decent, but not blowing your doors off. 7.25 million contracts. The ADV about 8 million, so roughly 750,000 shy of its average. The hot option out there in SPY today, a little over 500,000, about 510,000 of the 648 calls. SPY going out a little bit shy of 649, so looking decent for those. They went up for an average price of about 60 cents today. As we keep on rolling out to the SPX, was it a hot day? Was it a banger day out there in the SPX, listeners? The answer was, it was actually pretty decent, pretty much in line with this ADV. Its ADV is almost 3.9 million, and they came in at about exactly 3.8 million contracts. So more action than you might expect going up out there in the SPX today. Of course, I should mention we are recording this the day after NVIDIA's earnings, so that usually tends to be a market-moving event, tends to drive some flow. We're seeing a little bit out there, but at the end of the day, it is still also the dog days of summer, listeners, so kind of hard sometimes to reconcile all that. The S, again, 3.8 million contracts. The hot option out there today, 185,000 of the 6,500s. And you know, we kissed it. We were flirting with that strike earlier in the day on the option block today. Looks like the S, though, closing right around it, actually, 65.01. So interesting stuff out there. So just just a tick north of that 6,500 strike. By the way, the average price on those 6,500s, $3.27. As we keep on rolling out to small caps, aka IWM. Was it a hot day in small caps? Nope, it was a little light, listeners. Just a little bit north of 1 million contracts on the tape in small caps against an ADV of about 1.5 million. The hot option out there in IWM today, 83, almost 84,000 of the 237 calls expiring today. IWM missing that, going out 236 in about a quarter. So no joy for those 237s, which had an average price of about 19 cents. So if there's a silver lining, if you bought those, that you only spent 19 cents on average. As we keep on rolling out to the Qs, was it a hot day in the NASDAQ today, listeners? The answer also, actually surprisingly decent within spitting distance of its ADV. Its ADV is about 4.25 million, right about 4.15 million contracts going up in the Qs today. The hot option out there in the NASDAQ, 216,000 of the 576 calls. The Qs going out 577 and about a dime out there today. So interesting stuff. And those calls were average price of about $1.07. So he ended up coming in pretty much almost exactly at break even. Funny how that works sometimes, listeners. All right, out to the single names we go. Was it a banger day in the single name most actives, listeners? The answer was not explosive, but better than we've been seeing of late. 533,000 contracts is what it cost you to break into the top 10 today. That gets you to our old pal, Amazon. The Amazonians putting up some numbers today. The hot option in Amazon, 52,000 of the 232 have calls, trading for an average price of about 91 cents. Amazon going out 231.60, so it needs to get its butt in gear. Obviously 90 cents just to get to that strike. Then another 91 to break even. Can Amazon get there by tomorrow? I guess we'll find out. By the way, I'm looking at our top 10 here, listeners, and we do have one exception to our everything expiring on Friday rule. I'll let you maybe attempt to hazard a guess what it is. I'd be surprised if you get it, though. As we keep on rolling to number 9, it's our old pal Alphabet, a.k.a. Google. The hot option in Google, 35,000 of the 220 calls. Average price of 36 cents for these bad boys, again, expiring tomorrow. These do seem a little, shall we say, optimistic. Alphabet closing today, I should say, at 211.64, so long way in the rearview mirror for Alphabet. 220s, listeners. Interesting. That needs to get its butt in gear by tomorrow's close. 555,000 contracts changing hands in Alphabet for number 9. Number 8, listeners, is our lone exception to our everything expires on Friday rule today. And it comes in Barrick Gold, ticker symbol B. If you're not familiar with it, you're not alone, listeners. Barrick Gold changed their ticker. They used to have a great ticker, Gold, G-O-L-D. They swapped it for B. Talk about a terrible trade. I get it. They have broadened their exposure. They're not just in gold anymore, but still, gold is a great ticker. You get rid of that at your peril. B, pretty forgettable. Nonetheless, they put up 580,000 contracts today. Stock closing at 26.28, but it looks like there was a size, maybe div play going up out there today as well. It was ex-div today, and we saw 152,000 of these SEP 20s, which, by the way, if you're going to be doing div plays, you're typically going to go in the money options, and that's pretty much what we saw. Also, 144,000 of the 19 calls. So I would take number 8 with a grain of salt, and it's not just because I don't like their ticker. Nonetheless, they didn't fight their way into the top 10, even if it was kind of meaningless paper. All right, to number 7, everyone was so focused on NVIDIA, they forgot about this name, Snowflake. Closing today, did it close 241 exactly, listeners? How often do we see that out there? Yes, it did. 241 exactly for Snowflake, listeners. Putting up 619,000 contracts for the number 7 spot. Everyone's so hot and bothered with NVIDIA, but Snowflake had earnings last night as well, and they kind of knocked the cover off the ball as well, rallying hard out there today, up about 20% on the day. So impressive rally for Snowflake, putting up nearly 28,000 of the 250s. That was the hot option out there today. Again, these are expiring tomorrow. 250s, average price of $1.66. So obviously, do the math, listeners. We need to get to 251.66 by tomorrow's close to make these bad boys pay off. Looks like we got close to that today, 249.99. So we kissed 250. Didn't quite get there. Let's hope for their sake they bought these right around that time. They were just feeling it. Of course, they could have sold these as well, listeners. But if you bought them, average price of $1.66. You need Snowflake to get a move on by tomorrow's close. Otherwise, you'll be wearing it on these. Number 6, to a Techland we go. AMD, right around 168.5 is where it closed today. Putting up 683,000 contracts. And, you know, the hot option in AMD today, about 88,000 of the 170s. Got to run about $1.50 by tomorrow's close. But that said, they did trade for an average price of $1.65. So if you bought these, you need AMD to run a little bit north of 171.65 by tomorrow's close. That's obviously doable, but a bit of a lift, not anywhere as crazy as the Snowflake, though. All right, number 5, it's open. Closing today right around 4.25, putting up 723,000 contracts. Open, it's up, it's down. Who knows where it is on any given day? Rallying about a quarter today. The hot option in open today, 125,000 of the 4 halves. So straight out of the money calls. I was guessing the 5s on the option block today, but I also said it could be the 4 halves, and that is indeed our Huckleberry. Average price of about 20 cents. So obviously you have to get to 470 by tomorrow if you bought these bad boys. So interesting stuff out there. Number 4, another frequent offender. It's Palantir. 158.12 is where the stock closed, putting up 802,000 contracts today. The hot option in Palantir, 52,000 of the 160s. Trading for an average price of about 81 cents. Again, the stock closing right around 158, so it needs to run about $2 plus 81 cents to make these bad boys pay off. If you did indeed buy them by tomorrow's close, can we get there? I guess we'll find out as we keep on rolling to number 3. It's the fruit company. 232 and about a half is where it closed. Rallying about 1% today, putting up 805,000 contracts. So just managing to beat out Palantir in our top 10 today. The hot option in Apple, about 54,000 of the 232 halves. So pretty much exactly at the money calls. They traded for an average price of $1.36 though. So if you bought these bad boys, you need the stock to run a little bit by tomorrow. Bit of a frequent refrain on the show today. All right, out to number 2, it's Tesla. Closing just a tick shy of 346 today, putting up 2.12 million contracts. So a decently active day for Tesla. The hot option out there, almost 131,000 of the 350s. And you know Tesla, it's volatile. So they're not giving these away. Average price of about 214. So obviously, if you're buying these, you need the stock to run to about 350, 214 tomorrow. Can we get there? It's a decent run. We shall see. And of course, you know what the big dog is today. It's NVIDIA earnings. Nothing could wrest the crown from them today. Putting up 5.25 million contracts. That's a lot of paper. We've seen NVIDIA do more, obviously, but that's a decent amount for any name out there. That's index numbers for a single name stock. The stock closing right around 180, about 180 and a dime today. And after a lot of back and forth over the earnings, the hot option out there was 309,000 of the 180s, exactly where the stock went out today, pretty much. Average price of $1.89 though, so they need the stock to run a little bit by tomorrow's close if they were indeed buying these. But interesting stuff. That's going to do it for your hot options report, aka Thor, for Thursday, August 28th. Hope you're having a good trading week. If you're hanging out in the pro, stay tuned. We got a fun surprise for you. I'll be coming back right after this show, instantaneously in your ear holes with a taste of some early options oddities. We got a bunch of stuff going on tomorrow, including some stuff right after Volview. So no time for oddities tomorrow, but we'll be getting it in today. So stay tuned for that. If you want to check out the pro for yourselves, listeners, only one place to go to have all that fun. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go. Otherwise, we'll see you back here tomorrow, another episode of the Hot Options Report. And stay safe out there, everybody. The Hot Options Report is brought to you by Public. Now, if you're listening to this show, chances are that you're pretty serious about options trading. So let me put something on your radar. Public. It's the most cost-effective way to trade options. That's because Public is the only platform
that gives you rebates on your options trades. They also have some of the industry's lowest index options fees, whether you're placing single leg or complex multi-leg trades. Every dollar counts. Check out public.com/optionsbrief and discover the most cost-effective way to trade options. Again, the Hot Options Report brought to you by Public. Full disclosures in the podcast description.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.